Today, as I go to do the sharing of my screen, and I notice that my presentation is left, but I will bring it right back up and we'll get started with that. Okay. And we'll start to share the screen. And there we go. As already mentioned, you heard a little bit about me from Rom. And yes, our experience has definitely deepened my love for pathways and for Toastmasters in general. As mentioned, I was a Toastmaster for 13 years. So these are some of the subjects that we're going to be talking about today. We will have my introduction, which I'll bring that up in a second. The vision statement, our goals, pathways, and definitely the benefits of the whole piece together as we work it through. For this event, there's a couple of things that I want you to do, and I would love for you to have I would love for you, if you could, first of all, have my daughter's calling me. She just went to the doctor's. Anyways, oh, I went back too far. Start again. Let's start with my P's. First of all, the P's, my passion, the passion that I have. As mentioned to a few people when we first came into the room today, I was sharing a little bit about how when I first started, I had no intentions of staying in Toastmasters or even doing Toastmasters. When I was asked to join Toastmasters, I started to basically help a friend out. My intention was to stay 6 months and then leave. And as I progressed in those 6 months, it was amazing how I could see myself change from the nervous Nilly to a person who wanted to accomplish more. And in that reign, we also had the old books versus the new system. And those books were fabulous. They were able to grab me so I could see the things ahead of time and what I wanted to do with it. It also started to create a passion that I noticed that I was changing as I was speaking, and I wanted to share that passion with other people that I knew that could benefit from that. Every program or every event that I went, I was always learning. And I thought this is a passion that most people, if they realize it does not matter what you do in Toastmasters, you can get whatever you need to promote yourself or get you where you want to go. My preparation for today, I want to share a little bit about preparation. Now, preparation comes with a lot of stories. When we do preparation, often we don't know where to start. But what I found is for me, a simple piece of paper, and I'm going to share this because this is where a lot of my visions came from. When I first started, I just write things down. Everywhere I would go, I would write notes. And part of that was myself to remember what I was thinking about at the time. And that preparation is going to help you when you look at yourself and your pathways of where you are today and where you want to go. Because most of us, we live in the moment. And with societies, the way they are changing all over the world, the cultures are different. Everyone has different aspects that's going to be important to them. So first of all, I would love for you, if you don't have a piece of paper, I would really love for you to have one to write some notes down and to start thinking, because this one is going to be about brainstorming. I love brainstorming and how it makes me think and how it makes me think outside of the box. So start with your paper, and at the very top, if you have a pathway or two pathways, put them at the top for me, please. And if you know what level you are in those every path, I would like you to place that down as well. That will come into play when we go further into this. Now, those P's are very important. Without those P's, it's not going to prepare you to think ahead and it's not going to get you to think outside of the box. And I want you to be able to do that. So the very first thing, I don't know if anybody's ever seen this, but I'm going to tell you how old I am because I don't really care. People can judge. They can say, "Oh, you look great," or "You don't look great." You can judge for yourself. I'm 68, but when I was a kid, this was a vision board that we used to see all the time. People would take the magazines and cut out pictures, and they would place them
Bro,
on a board.
झोपताना थोड्या तरी न्यूज बघितली.
They would place them on a board and they would carry forward, and you could see all their loves. This is their passion. So I see beginnings, I see Happy New Year, I see life, I see soul, I see someone's career, entrepreneur, I see love, I even see holistic, and I see community. Every one of these things stand for something in their life, and it is something that they will use further. But for the person who created this board, it was important at the time for them to actually put it down on paper so that they could see where they want to go. The other part of this vision board, it moves into another style. And I want to share a story here. This one here always brings back memories for me in a lot of ways. I am one of those crafters who love to have markers and pens and stamp pads and stickers. Well, this one reminds me of someone that would be sitting in a room and just thinking about the mind wandering. Now, does your mind wander? I bet it does. Sometimes I lose focus because I really want to go somewhere else or be somewhere else, and it's not that the person's boring. I just have an active mind and it just wants to jump all over the place. So for me, I would often draw. I remember in grade 8 when we were in public school, we would sit in quads in our art class. And I remember the one day the teacher would come up and she placed all this stuff in the middle of the table and gave each of us a board. And she said, "This is what we're going to do today. I want you to think of all the things that you love, absolutely love." Now, when you think of board, you're not thinking of things that you love because realistically, I was in grade 8. I had no clue what I wanted to do or what I wanted to think about. But she said, "What do you want to be when you grow up? Like, where do you see yourself? Are you going to be a teacher? Do you want to be a mom? Or do you want to work and just make money? What about holidays? Did you want to go forward and go on trips all over the world?" Well, I came from a poor side of town. We didn't have money, so I didn't worry about the money part because I figured I would never have any. But what I did realize that the people that were already in my life were already making an impact on me. So the things that were important to me were things like community, people in my community, my church, people that were always there. I love sports at school. So then I thought to myself, I could do that, sports. And then I thought, well, what else is important? My favorite color is blue. That's very important because I see blue everywhere. Well, then she pulls up this board and she says, "Well, this is what you were going to create." And I said, looking at that, thinking, how am I going to create that? And then she said, "No, you're not going to copy it. I want you to take your thoughts and put them down on a board. So start with the stuff with you in the middle and then work yourself out in the board." Well, this is nothing uncommon to pathways. Pathways is also a piece where we need to think outside of the box so that we can see where we want to go with that pathway. So I created my vision board as a child in grade 8, and I had no concept what I was going to do with it, but I got lots of praises for it because I stepped out of my comfort zone and started cutting and creating this board. Now, I know I mentioned to you that this brings a lot of memories, but it also brings memories back when I was in high school writing exams or listening to lectures. I cannot sit with my hands just like this anywhere. I would have a pencil in my hand always. I write notes. I'm a visual learner. I need to see it. I want to do it. And I would doodle. Hands up here if you're a doodler. If you know what a doodler is. Yeah, I see one hand. A doodler is, yes, exactly. A doodler is where I used to take letters and make big bubble letters, right? I remember dating a guy and I made these big letters and I would just doodle these letters. And I thought, this is my creativity coming out. My mind is pushing me to go forward and it wants me to do things a little bit more and think outside of the box. So these vision boards become very, very helpful. The other part that I wanted to share with you is, first of all, the word imagination. When you think about the word imagination, where does your head go? Now, my imagination goes, well, today I was thinking about, I'm going on this and I'm going to do a workshop. What can I do with this? Am I going to change anything up? Do I need to do that? So that's how my imagination goes. Even though I already had my mind set and this PowerPoint all created and how I'm going to do these things, but you never know until you actually get there because your creativity also is enlightened by other things about around you, the things that have impacting that help you to do these things. So I want you to think about a vision. So first of all, we're going to talk about reflection. So reflect. And the reason why I said reflection is because if you look at your path, it is the very last step that you have to do. So to me, the reflection part is almost my starting point. What do I want to accomplish? Right? That's the very first thing. So on your paper, I want you to take a look at your pathways. Do you know what the overall purpose of your pathway is? My guess would be yes, because you would have either selected it on choice or you would have taken the survey and the survey would have said, I recommend you to take this one. Now, thinking about that, what is your end goal? Like, what do you really want to accomplish by doing that pathway? The one that I'm focusing on today is visionary communication. And as mentioned, I'm working on the 18th path. And I have done, this is my third time now doing visionary communications. And I just completed the third round of it. And I'm going to explain why it is like that. So when you're looking at your vision statement, I want you to ask yourself, first of all, you want to make sure what part do you play in it? Where do you see yourself in your vision? And then I want you to write a vision. And the vision doesn't have to be very long. It is something that you want to see for the overall statement. And I'm going to give you the sample that I used for my visionary communication was basically for overall was to use it through my leadership track in the district. And I had taken it and started it a year ago, and I wanted to complete it in a specific time frame. So what I ended up having to do is I had to ask myself some questions. Why do I want to do this? So these are part of the reflect part. So you want to ask yourself 3 questions. If you can come up with the 3 whys to your statement, then you know you're on the right track. I also want you to take a look at what you've accomplished in your life. Because if you can't see the skills that you bring forward to do this path, you may need to do some more work. You may need to upgrade your skills. And you may need to get some resources and help from other people. And there's nothing wrong with that. So let's move into visualization. So visualizing, this is my absolute favorite part of any board that I do. As mentioned, I showed you the piece of paper. I take those pieces of paper and I write ideas down. And then I start saying, well, I can do this. And how does that affect my community? And how does it affect my career? How does it affect me? So I would write down all the things that I think that I can do with my path. I can I can learn how to talk. I can learn to do contests. I can learn how to create a speech. I can learn how to be a good leader. I take all those different aspects and then I write them all down. There's no right or wrong answers. They all go down on a board and they're just written down there. And then I start to think of the my bringing back my end goal in my head and deciding how I'm going to do this. Remembering if you have the passion for Toastmasters, this will come easy because the ultimate fact for you is you want to accomplish your path. You want to feel like you've learned something. You want to be able to share that passion. And you also want to share it within your clubs or elsewhere. Whether you do it as a workshop or whether you do it as an event planning, those things can all be put into this perspective of your head. And then, of course, we come together and we draw it all together and we put it into a paper form. And the paper form is usually where I start first. So I start with it all written down on paper and then I start to think about how I'm going to put this all together. And once it's in my head, I can visualize and I can then start to create my statement. The statement that I came up was my Toastmaster vision is to become a leader of
Become
distinction.
a leader of distinction, dedicated to empower members.
Distinction dedicated to empower members of Toastmasters by providing solutions through mentoring. Now, if you knew me at all, you would know that I love mentoring as one of my favorite parts of Toastmasters. I didn't get the gist of why it was so important until somebody mentored me. And this is where my vision statement came from. And that was my purpose for this whole visionary communications path. There's lots of statements and examples that you can look on the internet, but really, if you take it down and you just model it down to yourself as to what you want to accomplish and break it down to the simplest form, and then those things, if it's too long, you're going to end up having way too many goals and it'll be much harder to accomplish. So keep it as simple as possible. Now let's talk about vision boards because these things are very, very important. We have the physical vision board, we have a digital vision board, and then I'm going to show you how to prepare to do it. So as mentioned in my art class when I was younger, we created the physical board. That was a Bristol board. We called it Bristol board. Some people call it cardstock. Some people use a whiteboard. Some people use a cork board. Whatever you choose to put in front of your face, that is what you want to see. If you use the Bristol board, you'll also need visual things that we're going to help to build it. So that'll be things like newspapers, which are rare now because newspapers are definitely usually all in digital form now, unless you go out and buy it. Magazines, you can, like if you're a foodie and you want to do a vision board on food alone, you could actually do that, create all the food. If you wanted to take your community, what things are in your community that stands out that you want to help with or you want to promote in your journey, because you can do that as well. And you need obviously the physical things like scissors, glue, stickers, anything that you can dress the board up with. Any personal touches that will make it you, because remember, this is your board. You're going to be looking at it all the time. The next board, it would be oops, I've gone too far. The next board is the digital board. The digital board is where it's online. And I'll show you this. I've got some samples coming up of that as well. Anybody in this room use Canva? You can use Canva as your board. You can use PowerPoint as your board. I use Excel to create my board for my digital board. So I have a physical board and I have a digital board because I like both. One I carry around with me on my phone. If I see something that I want to add to it, then I can add it to it right online. My physical board is the one you leave in your office. And then I did carry that forward and utilize all the pieces from my boards to put this board together. I also create notes. And the reason the notes are important is because they will help you to determine which projects that's going to help you get to where you want to go to. When you start thinking about that, this is where this next screen came into play, and that was the SMART goals. Now, the SMART goals are definitely, most people have heard about the SMART goals. As you can see, it spells out the word SMART. Let's be specific, be measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And that helps with your vision statement as well. When you're looking at your vision statement, you want to kind of use this format to do this so that you can know exactly where you want to go and what you want to accomplish. So like I said, keep it simple. Don't make your vision statement more than 2 sentences long, because the longer it is, you'll probably end up having to break it into many, many goals. And that, to me, takes you away from the immediate. You should work in small patches to get what you want accomplished. Unless, of course, you're a multitasker, because some people are very good at that. They're multitask. They can work on 3 or 4 projects at a time, and they don't mind having 3 or 4 different paths going at one time. But for most, they work on one path at a time, and this is what they see. You also want to create milestones. And then milestones are, if you have how many, say level 3s, level 4s, level 5 projects, those ones will take you longer. You want to think about those milestones. Where do you want to place them on a timeline? Where do you want to see that accomplished? Keeping in mind your end goal. That reflection is what you're going to come back to and bring it all back together. So once you've done that, I can guarantee that once you create that timeline, it's going to be, you can do it as in months, years. I would not recommend years, definitely not. For pathway, I can clearly do one path, a whole path within 1 year with not a problem. I have done actually 2 whole paths in 1 year when I belonged in 5 clubs because I spoke all the time. And then my speeches were always on the go. Now, creating projects down the end, they get longer to do, so you need that time to think ahead of where you want to go with those projects. So that's how you do it. And anything that you want to do, you must believe that it's achievable. If it's not achievable, then there's no purpose in writing it down or even trying to do it. This is where you go back into your past and you look at your skill sets. Can I use any of the skill sets I have? Do I have resources that I can use that's going to help me get this goal accomplished? Also, is it real? If you cannot think, if you do not think it's achievable, obviously it's not going to be realistic as well. But being realistic is also something that you have to work with yourself to determine whether or not you have the information that you need to accomplish those goals and the goals that you were setting. And like I said, you want to make sure it's timely. Now, for any of our pathway projects, I wouldn't recommend working on a project more than 3 months at a time. If you're doing a longer project, most projects can be done in shorter periods of time, but levels 3, 4, and 5, depending on which you select and what you're trying to share. And if you have to build a team, then you might want to take that in consideration of the team building and the collaboration that you need with the teamwork. We're moving on. So this goal leads up to my vision statement. So as you can see, I built from the vision statement down, which is at the top of my board, and then my goals will be there as well. And then what I did was creating my goals. I used those SMART goals to determine that. And these are the 3 goals that I came up with for my visionary communications path. First of all, earn my 2nd DTM. I have enough accomplished for probably five of them, but I never finish them off. I just keep doing the projects, and I don't care. I have 1 DTM, and that to me is that's enough. But this year, because I took the DTM in the old program, I want to do it in the new program as well. So I'm striving to reach my 2nd DTM, and that's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to provide workshops based on my projects for 2026. Well, I have been doing that all year round. I've done at least 5 different projects that would definitely classify as doing this piece of my goals. And then the last one was complete my visionary communication path in my 1 year. And as you can see, my vision statement is still there because it's the thing that stands out the most that keeps me focused and it keeps me driving to accomplish my goal. That is important. Now we go into the goal. I just took one of my goals and I broke it down. And by doing this, this really helped me to see what I can do. So these are the questions that I was asking myself. Complete the visionary communication. That's as specific as you can get. It's very simple. I had to create the milestones. So I had my year timeline that I had in my head, and in between all of that, I had to schedule in workshops so that I know that I could share the workshops and also projects that were very important to me in accomplishing my goals. And one of those goals, that the goals underneath this goal here, the tasks underneath it, was writing up what those tasks would be to complete this goal. And that is very helpful. I took a project and one of them was change management, one was write a communication plans. Okay, so those resources, just remember, these resources are also available within Toastmasters International in your project. Make sure you use them. It's amazing how many people do not use them. But when you take that visionary path and you decide to write a vision plan. So this is the vision plan that I did, and it's all in print. But what I did was I wrote it all out and all the tasks underneath that I needed to do. What order? This one was to lead the district leadership committee to a successful 2026-2027. And part of the very first thing was create my team. So as you can see, create the team, call for nominations. There's all kinds of different steps that I would have had to do. So each one of those are measurable. And then they're also, are they achievable? Yes, they were achievable because every one of them needed to be done. So in my head, I knew I had to accomplish it and I know I could do it. Are they real? Yes, it happens every year. I would depend on the people that were doing the job before and they would help me out to achieve that goal. And like I mentioned, 1 year. Did I do it in 1 year? Yes, I did. This is a listing of every project that I did and leadership roles. No, the leadership roles are not on this one. This is just all the projects that I did for all of visionary communication. So these are everything that you can select from and everything that you would have had to do. So choose one of the following. So that's how you start. This is my electronic copy right here. I did this and it's all my focal point so I can see everything in one spot. What did it come out of this is something like this. This is a tracking sheet. You will see these resources. They will be placed in the chat after we're finished this part, after we're finished the next section, and you will have all the paperwork that you can utilize for the goals and setting yourself up. On this pathway tracking, you will see it shows every level. This one just showing the visionary communication level 5 and all the projects underneath it. And then you select what you need. And it also includes the new presentations from Better Speaking Series, Successful Club Series, and the Leader Excellence Series. So it has all of those as well. And even your club level leadership. Now, you never realize how important that all of these things are, but now with the Toastmasters International changing all of that, what you have found is that there's more work. This way, it tells you where you are on your track and how to get there to what you need left to do. So this is very, very important. This is a tool I use for all my paths, and every path will be placed in the chat at the end. This is my board that I created now. I just showed you one little piece, but I do have it here, and I have to share it with you so you can see it. So what I did was I took all those pieces that I told you under visionary communication. I cut them up into little pieces right here. And you can see they're all different colors and everything. So they're all different things. Every one of them is a different level. Every one of them has what they are and how many I need. So you can see under electives, it says choose level 3, choose 2 of 15. Well, those are the 2 that I selected, and this is what my vision board turned out to be. So this is just going straight across and you can see how it all works out. So this is what I place in my office so that I have this as my focal point. Okay. So whenever I was doing communications, I was speaking, I could see this and I knew where I was going. So that is what I call my physical vision board. Then we move over and we go to, this is what it looked like shrunk down. So I threw a couple of pictures in there. You can see that my DTM is in there. The pathways are in there. The glasses are where I see myself going. And of course, Toastmasters International is in there. So depending how big you want your board or how much you need to see it, these are the color coordination that I used as to determine my board itself. So I did this pathway board and it was much easier to do when you see it, you can see what you have done and what you need to accomplish. And what I would normally do is put the titles underneath each one of those, but I had that already on the electronic copy, so I didn't need to do it on this board as well. But you can put the titles, and then that would show you that you've completed it once you've done that. Obviously, not when you're first selecting a path, you may not know exactly what you want, but this is the pieces that you want to look towards when you are actually looking at your board itself. How can I help the community? How does the community help me? Where do I see myself going in my career? Those are the things that you really want to look at. And the leadership roles, every one of those club leadership roles are definitely important now because it takes you from one step to the next step and it gets you prepared to your level 3s, 4s, and 5s, where most people get stuck because they don't want to think too hard. They want something simple. Well, usually if there's less projects to accomplish, there's a reason for that because they want you to take the time and they want you to read the projects. And when you read the projects, you will see what the purpose really is and what you want to accomplish. This is a Canva sample of what my board would have looked like if I created that. So you can see the work researching, you can see the clock, the timeline, where our vision, my planning, and then the reflection at the end. So that's how you can make a electronic Canva one. But whatever comes to mind is what you put on your board. And that's definitely going to help you when you go to do this. This is my electronic copy of Visionary Communications. As you can see, I started this path March 6th, 2025, and I actually finished it on February 19th, 2026. It took me one whole year to do this path. All the titles of my speeches are here. When I did it this way, it really helped me to reflect on where I learned from each one of my projects. And this helped me to see where I wanted to go from beginning to end. Now you can do your digital board any which way you like, whatever helps you and makes it easier for you to read it and to stay focused. Because remember, the focus part is what motivates you to go further. If you remember your end goal, I guarantee you that you will accomplish every one of your projects underneath it. And every step of the way, you're going to learn something new. And your growth will be seen in yourself and as well from other people. And let's go to the next screen here. All right. So we're going to jump into pathways. Now, we talked a lot about the vision boards and how they're created and what we want to do with them. But pathways plays a really big piece in there. For most of you, I'm assuming that majority of you will have your path already. But when you're whenever you first start Toastmaster, you're onboarded and you have to select a path. Now, if you've got a really good VP of education, they'll sit with you and they'll walk you through the survey and say, okay, you select whatever you need to select. What do you think is most important for you? And the end result, I have not seen anybody not happy with their end result. Oh, no, that's not true. One person that they just went by the title name and they thought, I want to try this one. I think this is it. And it does not work. But that pathway looks long. but it's really not that long. And it's amazing how when you focus on what you want to accomplish, it shortens itself pretty darn quick. And your accomplishments move up. So we all know about the upgrades. As Rom mentioned before, there was 11 paths before. Now there is only 6. And these ones are, you'll end up having to do more than once, obviously, because if they only have the 6th, the dynamic leadership, the engaging humor, motivational strategies, persuasive influence, presentation mastery, and visionary communication. And what they did last October is update, and they introduced a new segment called where they put in the club leadership roles. Now, I don't know about you, but like I said, I belonged at one point to 5 clubs, and I found that I was earning more of the club leadership roles because people were not stepping up to do it, to take on the roles. They were only taking on the ones that they thought they liked. And someone never would touch timer because I can't time. I can't do 2 things at once. But the only way we learn is by doing it. So I could see why Toastmasters International introduced this aspect so that the VP Ed can be and the member can have that connection together and network together to help them to understand and teach them how the role should be done, first of all, and second of all, to ensure that they take a stab at every one of those roles. And I do hope that you do realize that the level that you're in, there are different requirements for club leadership roles. So those ones, so you can be the level 1, there is definitely you have to be a table topic speaker, and you can't be a Toastmaster of the day yet because you've never done it yet. So you want to learn all about it. You have to evaluate further on in that, but you want to make sure you've done your table topics first. So there's certain things that they have put there so that you follow that to understand how those steps will increase your knowledge enough to the point of being able to do it. They also brought back in some of the old series, Successful Club Series, Better Speaker Series, and the Leadership Excellent Series. Now, my first impression was this was the overall concept is good, but if your club was already utilizing those most of the time, a lot of those presentations would have been done as educationals in their clubs. But what this is doing, and if you really look behind the scenes, you can see where a person that's done an icebreaker, 4 to 6 minutes, moves to 5 to 7, and then you go to a bigger speech, which is 10 to 8 and 12 to 15. Well, this is also giving you ideas to share of what you think about where your club is and what it can benefit your club as well as you. And it teaches you to speak for 10 to 15 minutes. Because a lot of people, they think, I can't talk that long. Well, believe me, years of experience, I can talk way too long, and I know I can talk way too long. But I don't need to talk that long. All I need to do is get the point across. That's what these series are for, and they're going to help the clubs to become better clubs. We want our memberships to grow. Everything that's in part of those series is to help our club be, first of all, distinguished or better, or second of all, teach members that need to how to do these things if it's not being done by the VP of Ed, because not everybody has a great VP of Ed. We know that. And it's just that maybe they can't do all the jobs. Maybe they need to break it down. There's no judgment. All it is the fact that each club has their own culture, and how they do it and how they get it accomplished may be different than another club. So you want to make sure that that's what these upgrades were all about. And it is falling into place now. I notice that Easy Speak has now finally put all those things, the club leadership roles inside it. So that helps us with that. And depending on your VP of Ed, they may have to keep a tracking record of it, depending on what you use for your agendas and how you track your education. Future, as mentioned already from Rom, it's coming. I didn't realize it was March, but there you go. So these are the ones that are coming. And they have taken some of the advanced manuals. As you can see, the Vintage Path, basic training for Toastmasters, the communication series, and that's the different projects that are underneath that, which is entertaining speaker, and then the storytelling advanced. So everybody loves to tell stories. This will be right up their path. The DCP, I'm not sure how they're going to lay it out, but there'll be some way of getting credit for doing what you're doing that will be applied. And for the explorations, it is mostly for managing meetings online. And this is the three different projects that they have listed as for that. So this is to come, but remember, work with what you got. And if this comes into play, this you might be able to utilize that on your vision board as well, because storytelling is always great, and you might be able to utilize that. So there's the 6 pathways. And what I'm going to share with you now is basically what everybody can get, and that is the information for every level. So level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, mastering fundamentals, and it tells you the requirements for each one of them.
And
Yes?
sorry to interrupt you. I think they're not able
My
to see your slideshow.
Okay, there now. Can you see it?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. So each one of these ones have the dynamic leadership has the 5 levels. And as you can see, there's the mastering fundamental and learning your style. Those are pretty much the same for every path. Learning your style could be a little bit different as for each path, so for a couple of the paths. And then you notice that there's only one mandatory under each of the other levels, 3, 4, and 5. Reflect on your path is the overall difference. But then there's elective projects. And those elective projects is what makes it more interesting. As you get here, you can see under dynamic leadership, it says choose 2 of the following. That is a lot of projects to select from. Now, in order to know what is the best for you, in the handouts, you will also see what the purpose of each of one of these projects are, and that will help you to determine which ones you want to think about doing ahead of time. Try something new. I guarantee that when you step out, you learn so much more. Like I know I've done, like I said, almost 18 paths, and I've done quite a few projects that are the same, but it's mostly because it would have been I needed to get one done quickly, and that's not the right frame of mind you want to be in. You really want to be in the frame of mind as of what am I going to learn today? How am I going to share that? And what is my audience going to get? Remember, engagement with your audience is very important. And then choose one under the level 4, which is now definitely like they're different projects. So these are actual projects. So you want to make sure that you select the one and you build the right team for those projects. And then also one under the level 5. Now I've done that for each of them. You will have that in your handouts as well. And then there is the overall presentation mastery. This is the visionary communication. These are all the leadership roles. These leadership roles are what is required additionally above. Now, when you're selecting your leadership role, remember the level that you are in is the level that you are required to do. So if I was doing level 4, I would have to do a Toastmaster of the day. Sometime in that journey of my level 4, a general evaluator, be an evaluator, be a speaker. But speaker isn't pretty much everyone. Well, it isn't everyone because we're always speaking. And then one of the following: table topics master or table topics speaker. I do more than what is required because, like I said, I belong to more than one club. And as I do that, I am also doing more projects at the same time. So my roles will definitely increase. So I do a little bit more, but the learning is always great. And then you can determine what you really want to get out of your pathways. And moving along to benefits. Now, I left this to me was I love this part because I see where I've benefited through my whole Toastmasters journey. My whole Toastmasters journey from day one, even from the day that I said I truly didn't want to be a Toastmaster. That was the last thing I wanted to do. I had no time for it. And now I look at myself and I cannot believe how much I have gained in knowledge and in self-confidence in speaking. Filler words are very few, which is amazing. That Tamal tells me that I have grown, and I also pay attention to more people. I've become a very good active listener. and the passion that I have for Toastmasters is usually reflective with anybody that I deal with. And they will also get some gain from me as well. But your journey is your journey. And this is where those vision boards will help you no matter which way you choose, how you do it. But I would recommend don't sit on the sidelines. Take your project, work with a group of people, even in your club or even your mentor-mentee relationship. Take a look at that to see if you can brainstorm the ideas of how you can make your project better or which one you should do and how you're going to do it, and then determine what skill sets that you need. But you do realize that once you've gained that personal knowledge, it never goes away. I find no matter how many meetings I go to, I always learn something at anybody's meeting, and I love listening to other people speak because I learn something about them and usually something that I can benefit from for myself as well to apply to my own projects. The benefit isn't just for you. The benefit is also going to help your club. Right now, this is the time where you're going to start hearing, well, our club, we still need members and we still need this and we still need that. But if you have a really good quality club, I guarantee that members will come, for one. Number two, that you will also grow and your DCP points which some clubs don't know about them, which is a shame because that helps your club become quality. Because if everybody's sharing the same focus and the same goal, then you will have accomplished your own accomplishment, plus the club will also gain that number as well. And as you grow, you're completing levels. Now your number is going into the DCP and your club is going to grow. And then it comes to the district. Now I left this one for Ram. He's been sitting there on the sidelines, and I pulled up District 105. So Ram, I want you to share this 120 or 59. How do you see your district getting that, and how do you think they can help benefit the district by doing their pathways?
It's a table topic today.
Yeah, it is a table topic for you.
I firmly believe that member progress will ensure the clubs achieve their goals rather than seen from a DCP as a standalone basis. I'm so proud of my leaders and my members of District 105. As on date, with members' progress, almost we have around 58 clubs having more than 5 DCP points, thanks to the members and thanks to the leaders. But the beauty is, it's not just only 58 clubs. It's more about 800 members going beyond their comfort zone and achieving the goals. That is something which I would be looking to monitor the progress.
Correct. And he said it right there, because if the member accomplishes those goals, their own, and that means their own levels is going to go up. Like as of right now, I think I have done 9 levels in District 86, and that's for 2 clubs. Now imagine if every member in your club even did 3. You would have your 6 education goals done with no problem. And that's the personal goal for me, is to accomplish, to give my club as well as myself the growth and the club the points so that they can also survive, because not everybody is going to make those count. So as you can see, and you put this all together, everything falls into place when you can see where you want to go. Now, I mentioned that I start from the end and work my way back. I work my way back because I know what my end goal is. My end goal is to, first of all, accomplish the pathway, but I always have something. So now next year, I'll have to change my focus because visionary communications is now down, and I'm working on dynamic leadership. So that means I'm looking at how I can share my leadership skills with other people or with myself and grow. Where else can I see my leadership growing? Do I want to go to be an art regional advisor? I don't know. Maybe that could be something that I could think about. But this is how you got to open it up and start the brainstorming. And then when you put it all together and put it on paper, it is amazing when you look at that self-accomplish and how well you feel. Now, I've shared a lot about vision boards. If you definitely want to make sure, these are the resources that I'm going to share with you. And I think, Ram, you can place them in the chat now if you'd like. Just remember that every one of those resources that you have, they're just paper. You have to utilize those resources in order for them to work for you. Don't forget about the pathways. Inside the pathways, if you read the projects, you will first of all get the purpose, and you will also get any of the resources that pertain to that project. Always remember that watch the video. So it's amazing how many people say, no, I didn't watch the video. Why would I watch the video? It gives you a sample of what it could be like. It's not telling you how to do it. It's just giving you a sample of what it should look like. Remember to put your own touches on it, and it will definitely work. These goals, every one of these sheets will help you. Now you're going to have you can have the opportunity to take all 6 of them. This is also, if you are a VP of education, these are a good tool to give out for your onboarding. When you're onboarding a new member, give them the sheets, let them look, and then teach them how it can help them to grow in their own journey. I guarantee you, nobody will be unhappy about that, and their passion for Toastmasters will grow because of that. And I believe it's now question. I'm going to stop sharing and bring us back. And if you want to take over here with the questions and answers, Ram, you can go right ahead.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster and Dockeray, for making our pathways journey into a vision board. I think this was the first time that I'm hearing that how you can plan your path, set goals, and make your pathways more a smart pathways goals. Thank you, Anne, for sharing that wonderful vision to us. And I'm sure that our members have benefited a lot, and they will be starting to write their vision statement and try to ensure that they have their specific goals being achieved. The resources have already been shared in the chat. However, I will also be posting in the District 105 channels, and we would also be sending it to as an email to the club officers, requesting the club officers to share it to you all. So now the session is open for Q&A. So any members who wants to ask any question to DTM, and please raise your hand so that we can take some few questions.
Oh, I'm not going to do the names, Rob, because I'm going to muck them up.
Okay. Yes, Toastmaster Anuradha.
Yeah, good evening.
Hi.
Hi. My question is that I joined Toastmasters only in October 2024. And although I joined in 2024, I'm already a VPE. And I found the role of VPE rather overwhelming. And the thing is, like, my objective at that point was basically only to learn to speak, which I don't think I've actually mastered the skill. But when I see, like you said, that I need to have a vision, when I look at the vision as such, I feel that I still need to develop my speaking skills. But I get like it's a kind of a very academic line too, because then you need to know the academics behind the whole process too, right? So I really don't want to go in for all the academic part. I want to go in for the speeches. So how can I be, without that, but I need to get into it also. So it's a quandary. So help me.
All right. So I can give you a couple suggestions. So first of all, I've been the VP of education for Maple Leaf. That club is mostly special needs, and I do a lot of work with them. So once you determine and you get it set up, it will smooth a lot. It'll go a lot smoother. I guarantee everything will fall into place. You'll have your times. This is where your vision board comes into play, because you can take your VP education. You can say all new members will be onboarded on this day. You can say this mentor goes here, this mentor goes there, this one does this. Let them worry about that, not you worried about that. There is this delegation, right? It's called delegation. The other part that you can also do is have another person help you. Because I find that for some clubs, that's part of the problem. So a member could have completed a project and don't know how to close it out in base camp. And then all of a sudden you're looking for this point and you can't get the point because they haven't done their job. So the VP of Ed needs to go after that person to close it out properly, show them how to do it. And that to me is the succession planning. So now you're doing this VP Ed. It doesn't have to be for any more, but I guarantee if you do it more years, like I've been doing it for 6 years for Maple Leaf, at least minimum 6 years. And I've learned every time they have added something new, it bugs me because I just finally get it down and then I have to start all over again. So then once you've got that plan and seriously separate the two vision boards, keep one for your VP of Ed and then one for your planning, for your speaking. Don't give up on your speaking because that you are always doing anyway. You just don't realize you're learning as you're doing it. But once you get the VP of Education role nailed, I guarantee the other part will fall into place.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anuradha. Many a times, many club officers, once they take the club officer's position, they forget their own personal journey.
Yeah.
So sometimes I urge the club officers to focus on their journey too, at the same time when you're contributing to the club's success.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And I have a question if the other members are not asking. Maybe add-on question for what Anuradha is have asked. Say, for example, a new member who has joined to the club. He doesn't know much about pathways, is very brand new. So how do you sell this as a vision board to them who doesn't know what are the levels and the paths, and how do you convince them to do that vision board?
Good question, Ram. So like I said, the onboarding process, I have what I call all my stuff that I have, everything is inside. So you have all those handouts that you have for each one of those paths. And then what you do is you have that open discussion with them. First of all, they came for a reason. You find out what their why is first. Once you know their why, and then you can focus on their track and what they need to do. And selecting their track is going to be the one that's going to motivate them the most. Giving them all the tidbits is ensuring that they have the right mentor with them. If they have the right mentor guiding them from week to week, those pieces will fall into place. Now, it does take time. I know remembering as a newbie when I first started, all the acronyms are horrible. You didn't have a clue what it meant. But when you're physically in the same room, it's easier to sit beside someone that's seasoned Toastmaster and they can share as we're going through the agenda. This is what this means. This is what this means. Then when you do the onboarding of the pathways with the VP of Education, the VP of Educator must or should give them all the ins and outs of why all those roles are important. So the club leadership roles, the projects itself, how to read a project. I usually take my first onboarder, I would take them right through a whole level 1. I don't let them, I hold their hand until the end of level 1. And then after that, they should be able to follow through with the next level on their own or with their mentor. But all those pieces are needed in order to make a member feel like they've accomplished something and successful for themselves within the club.
Thank you, Anne. The onboarding process or the new member orientation becomes a mandatory to ensure that the new members are on the right page.
Yeah.
We have our Club Growth Director, Distinguished Toastmaster Suryakant Kirloskar. Surya, to you.
Hello ma'am, thank you very much for that very detailed presentation. One of the things what I have observed in my Toastmaster journey is like during the early part of pathways, lots of members were going for pathways mentor, but of late I have seen the pathways mentor is losing, members are losing interest in doing that. So how can actually we develop that interest in members? Because I believe if one of the members can take up that in every year, that will actually add a lot of value, and that will give a lot of learning experience to the members of the club. So how do we do that?
Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question first. Do you have a district mentoring pool?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes?
yes, we have.
No.
Okay.
Just to answer your question, Anne, maybe not exactly how in District 86 works, but
Okay.
what we request our clubs is to assign a mentor
Yep.
within their clubs, but not
That's
exactly how District 86 works.
cool. So I was referring, okay, because some clubs don't do the club mentoring, right? They think they are doing it, but they don't really do it. You're right, Rom, in the sense that as a new member comes in, they should be assigned a mentee, a mentor right off the bat. They should be one of the seasoned Toastmasters. You don't assume that it's someone that's under 2 years is going to be able to do that role because they may not know enough of it to do it, depending how far along they are in their journey. If they have the passion at a very early stage, then they'll be ready in 3 months. But if they're not, then a seasoned Toastmaster is the better choice. Unfortunately, what happens is the seasoned Toastmaster ends up with 2 or 3 mentees at one time to get them past a certain point. But that's only if the club does it. But if the club doesn't do it, then what you can do also recommend, and this is another part that a lot of people don't tend to use, is mentors outside of the club. There's nothing saying they have to be a Toastmaster. Okay? A mentor is a mentor where they help you listen. They listen to your project to you. They share any of the knowledge that you want to share with them, and they can say, is this good or is this bad? What can I work on? Those are the ones that are going to keep you guided and on focus and accountable for whatever action that you want to accomplish. So mentoring is only as good as the mentor to the mentee. So for your recommendation, I would say that if the club doesn't do it, then definitely have someone at the district level, have a group of people that where they can say anybody that's willing to help with new onboarding. Maybe you need a team of onboarders. That's nothing wrong with that. Do that because if you have a team of onboarders, then the onboarders could be the mentors as well. So there's different aspects that you can do. I'm always great to give everybody else ideas. It's just for myself, I'm really not so hot at. But yes, seriously, as long as you have the right person for the right member, that's the key. The right person for the right mentor, as it is. So if it's not in your club, then I would go somewhere else and get the mentor that you need.
Thank you, Anne. Any other questions? Okay. I have a last question to you, Anne.
Sure.
You have done 11 parts, then you have done the same part twice or thrice.
Yeah.
So how do you, I'll not use motivate, but how do you differentiate from doing, because if you see from level 1 to level 3, most of the projects are similar projects in all the levels. So
Yeah.
what vision statement you will make to make a difference between the path that what you have done for the first time and again doing it same path second time in a different way? Because we know that for anybody to become a DTM, they have to complete 2 paths. Even though they have to complete 2 paths, the level 1 to level 3 is almost similar in all the pathways. So how can members differentiate in their journey?
Now, for me, I can tell you right now that the biggest difference was where I was in leadership and where I am in communications. So you can focus on both those different aspects. So, as mentioned, someone wanted to be a better speaker. So you can take one of the paths and just solely work on communication piece of your journey. And then the other path can be leadership. Now, I've intermingled some of those aspects because depending on where I was in my journey and what I needed to accomplish, I also had to utilize everything that I was doing because there's nothing that you can speak on that should not, it should all be applied to a path somewhere. You should never be speaking without having to apply it to a project. Like even today, this is a long workshop. But if you look at my pathways, there's really not a workshop that long. But I will make sure that it is applied somewhere, that it's going to benefit me as well as my journey. So that's the way you got to look at it. Focus on what you want to accomplish, first of all. If it's mostly leadership, then you go on the leadership side track and you do everything based on your leadership skills. If it's communication and you want to say enter in contest, then you definitely work on the contest, the communication side. Or you want to learn how to communicate with other people, that's what you work on. If it's for work, focus on work. Remember that vision board is only as big as you want to make it. It can be one aspect of your whole journey, or it can be different pieces that will all fall into place.
Thank you, Han. If there are no questions further, uh, we can move to the last part of today's session. First of all, thank you, Anne Dockeray, for spending your valuable time with District 105, for sharing your expertise, wisdom on pathways. And I am sure that members of District 105 is going to reach out to you and ask you a lot of questions and to guide us. And we'll be very happy to host you again. Please accept the small certificate, e-certificate from District 105 for the wonderful 1 hour wisdom sharing sessions that you have done. Thank you, Anne Dockeray, on behalf of District 105 family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Having said this, the recording of this session would be made available to all the members of District 105 and it will be posted in the YouTube too. Next week, same time, 8:30 local time, that is Oman time, we will be having a session on HPL and DTM projects, that is High Performance Leadership and the Distinguished Toastmaster project. So that will be a second session of the month. And on 23rd of March, which is a Monday, we'll be having the world champion of public speaking, Craig Valentine, sharing secrets on how to ace the contest. And we will end the month on March 31st with specific session for the area contestants. Again, it is open to all the members, but specific to the area contestants where we will have a WCPS finalist sharing his experience on how to move from an area to division level. So please mark your calendar and the information will be shared to you. And thank you, District 105, and thank you, Anne, for your valuable time today. With this, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Have a great week, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.